My name's Toby Merrill. I'm a contractor specialist with DuraSeal. Today we're going to be talking about color, and not just stain colors and colors on floors, but the very concept of color and what it is. Color essentially is light. It's caused by differing qualities of light being reflected or not reflected by a surface. So in flooring, we're often thinking of just stain color, paint colors, furniture colors, things like that. But the very concept of color, is affected by lighting. So you can see in the slide we prepared here that direct sunlight versus indirect sunlight versus artificial light, how much the color of the walls and the furniture can change. And then we have different times of day, noon, afternoon, sunset, evening, night. And again, the color changes as we move across the spectrum. This affects us in flooring because often we're showing a sample and it might be at noon and the homeowner looks at it again at night and suddenly they don't like it. How many people have gotten that call at 9 o'clock at night when they don't like what you just stained their floor? They liked it in the day and they no longer like it. So color blindness. I actually found this really interesting, that color blindness affects about 1 in 12 men, or 8% of men, but only 1 in 200 women. I personally often think that women have a better sense of color and design, and this kind of goes along with that maybe they do. So is there anybody that can't see all three numbers on the slide? So this first one, everybody should be able to see. This one would indicate a red-green deficiency. That's the most common type of color blindness. And then the last one here is blue-yellow, which is less common. Complete color blindness, seeing in black and white only, is very rare, but it does exist as well. I know that for myself, I often see color pretty well. I can tell red and white oak apart better than some, but a lot of people struggle with those things. And so the lighting, your own vision, that can all affect how you perceive the color. So some color statistics. Color increases brand recognition by up to 80%. Think of brands like Coke or Pepsi. Coke's always had a red can. It's a recognizable color. Color accelerates learning. So when you use color and pictures in a learning process, it speeds up the learning process. It increases comprehension. Color ads are read almost 50% more than black and white ads. So on the same page, your eye is drawn to the page that has color, to the ad that uses color. Red is the first color that babies will see. They start out seeing in black and white, and it's also the first color that fades away under the water in the light spectrum. Blue is America's favorite color. So the color wheel. Painters often use this, architects, designers, some floor guys, floor people. But it's an important tool for artists of all kinds because it displays the relationships between colors. According to their placement on the color wheel, colors can be said to be related or contrasting. So some color definitions, and many of these are different than what we commonly use in flooring, so it's important to define them, how a designer would look at different terms. So hue is just another name for color. Tint is color plus white, and we often talk in the flooring world about tinting being color added to a clear finish. But for the sake of this discussion, it's color plus white. Tone would be color plus gray. Shading would be color plus black. Chroma would be the brightness or dullness of a color, and the value would be the lightness or the darkness. So you can see on this slide, we have the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. They cannot be made from other colors. You cannot mix these by adding other colors together. The secondary colors are orange, green, and violet. You would make them by mixing any two primary colors together. And then the tertiary colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, green, indigo, and red, violet are one primary color and one secondary color mixed together. So the monochromatic scheme would be using tints, shades, or toning. So that was adding adding white, black, or gray to our initial color, which in this case is green, across the spectrum to create different shades of the same color. An analogous color scheme would be using colors that are adjacent to each other on the color wheel to create a color scheme. Complementary colors are straight across the color wheel from each other. So here we're showing green across from red. This can be used in a color scheme to help cancel out color, and this is where a lot of the application for flooring comes in. You can utilize any of the colors in our neutral section, which we'll get to help cancel unwanted hues from the wood itself. So neutralizing colors. To neutralize a color, you'll need to add the complementary color to it. So here we're showing yellow and purple, red and green, blue and orange. And when you mix them together, the color doesn't just go away, but it makes a shade of brown. The red and green is particularly useful in the flooring world, and the blue and orange comes in on occasion. The yellow and purple is a little less common, but still useful. So another way to neutralize color would be to add white, gray, or black to get a tint, tone, or shade of the original color. We show this slide, and up on the top here we show green, which is the complementary color of red, and we show it in a light, medium, and dark version to create different shades of brown and different levels of neutralization of the original color red. We also show white, which is tinting, from a light to a more intense white, gray, which is toning, and black, which is shading. And they all create shades of brown from the original tone of red. Any questions so far? White oak versus red oak. How many floor guys deal with this on a daily basis? So red oak often has a red cast depending on the board, and we can use the complementary color to neutralize. So green is the complementary color to red, but we don't make a green stain. So what are our other options? Our 36 prepackaged colors are shown on our color card here, and they sweep across from timeless through inspired to the legacy colors. This is our color wedge. We couldn't complete the wheel because we don't make green or blue stains, but we make a lot of tones that fill in the other 2/3. So the most saturated colors are on the outer ring with browns in the middle and then the neutrals toward the very center. So again, the most saturated tones, browns, and then the neutrals. We would use a color opposite to neutralize, and if there isn't something directly opposite, we use whatever is closest. So if we're trying to neutralize a Sedona red stain, shown here, our options would be dark walnut, warm gray, or fruit wood, and the looks would vary because of the difference in those colors, but they'd all offer some neutralization of the red tones. Looking at red and white oak often has a green tint, and red oak often has a red tint. So for the green and white oak, we offer cherry and Sedona red stains, both reds, that would neutralize the green. For red, dark walnut and ebony both work great to neutralize the red. And it's no surprise that those are two of our most popular colors due to the popularity of red oak and people not wanting the red tone in their floors anymore. We've seen that trend continuing, and we see less and less red floors and less red tones in floors. Here's our new Intermix Collection color card, which shows not prepackaged colors, but mixes that we've created and show on the card. And as we go from left to right, it goes from the red tones through the neutrals to the gold tones. This is for people that don't want to do their own experimenting and create their own colors, but instead offer another selection of colors for their customer. Any particular color suggestions that are favorites of yours? And any questions? They're all water popped on this sample, and they're all on white oak. Sure, so the question was staining white on white oak due to tannin related issues. Staining white is totally okay with an oil-based stain. There wouldn't be a tannin reaction with that. Where the tannin reaction would come from would be from the finish. And so using a tannin neutralizing sealer first before the finish would prevent the tannin reaction. And we of course offer those. Any white oak floor or any floor with tannins in it. So white oak is the one that always comes up because it's a light colored wood that has high tannin content, but red oak also has tannin issues. Mahogany, walnut, Brazilian cherry, they're all high in tannins as well, but you tend to not see the tannin issues because the tannin issues are usually a yellowish or light green, so you don't see them on those colors the same way. Sure, so the question over here was the best way to shake a can of stain to make sure that you're mixing all the pigment in. We find that putting something in the can to disrupt it, like think of the ball bearings in like a can of spray paint, how they bounce off the bottom and the top. So putting a couple pennies in or a couple marbles, that gives it something, and that way when you shake it, it's a much more aggressive and you can make sure to get all the pigment off the bottom. Checking it with a stir stick also to make sure that it went back into suspension is best practice.